Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. Tonight we don't have the music. I'm route back from Austin, Texas, up to Houston. Jump on a plane tomorrow and go back to Minnesota. But the news I got today is I went to the state capitol in Austin, Texas, and speak in front of the election committee in regards to voter fraud, and I left it on the floor. I left it on the floor because I mean, they sitting in there all day playing pussyfooting around like it ain't been no voter fraud. You a lie. It's been voter fraud, and you know it's been voter fraud. So went in there today, you know, 8 o'clock this morning. I ain't testified till about 5:30. When I left, they still had 189 people waiting to testify. So, this gonna be all right for them, but I got lucky and got up out of there early. So, you know, Donovan, what's going on, my friend? Fill me in.
Hey, man, a lot of stuff going on. As you guys know, the Derek Chauvin case is in its third day's trial. Some very telling testimony. We'll get to that in a quick second before we get to the money man, Walter. Please, please, please get your notes and your pen. From last week, the information I got, I think I'm on the road where I want to go because I got some good ideas going and it got me motivated. But as far as the local news, the big news for today, Thursday, is the trial. Very compelling testimony. So we're going to get into that. But please do us a favor, hit that like, share, and subscribe button and get the information out. And we're going to spread this out. So, Demetra, what do you got?
So hello. We are almost there, you guys. We are almost at the weekend. Woohoo! I said it like I was going to go do something, right? But anyway, one can hope. So as you guys know, Gary is at the Capitol, and we got Walter here. He's going to actually teach us a little bit about group economics and all of that. But first, let's go ahead and get into day 4 of the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Of course, you guys know he is on trial for murdering George Floyd in the summer, or actually May of 2020, where he held a knee to George's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And so today there were a few witnesses, or quite a few, I should say, witnesses that were called to continue testifying about the dynamics of that day. And the first person that was called was his girlfriend. She said it was his girlfriend by the name of Courtney Ross. She said they met in August of 2017 while he was a security guard at the Salvation Army. And they had been, together on and off for the most part since that time, even up until the day that he was murdered. She was asked by the prosecution about George's drug use and basically their drug use. And she said, yes, they were both addicted to opioid drugs. They at first had a prescription to use the drugs, if you will. But then once they did not have a prescription, they obtained the drugs, through the streets. Basically, somebody gets a prescription and they sell them on the street and all of that. And then so she also said that, well, she didn't say it, but the defense, basically asked her, did she know he was also doing heroin? And I want to say she said she didn't know, but the prosecution actually led with that question as a tactic to, basically steal the defense's thunder so that the defense wouldn't bring it up and get ahead of it. And so that was actually a pretty smart strategy. But she also debunked a couple of theories that the defense were trying to go with. She says that George was very fit. He exercised all the time. He played ball, football, basketball. And she said he would even run to the store and, do push-ups and sit-ups and stuff at home. So he was really into his physical fitness. And she also said even after he had done the drugs, the opioids, he was able to go off and be active. And so basically that was debunking the defense's theory that, because the first coroner report said that he died due to a weak heart and because of the drugs. But she was saying, well, he had taken the stuff before and was very active and never died. In fact, she said, I took the same drugs and I'm still here. So that was that part that was very telling. Also, the paramedics testified and said, one of them basically said, I thought he was dead when I got there. And another one said, I had to ask Derek Chauvin because he was still on the neck of George Floyd. I had to ask him to move so that I can take his pulse, and render him some sort of aid. And then the one other paramedic, it might have been the same one, I don't know, said that it was actually him that took the handcuffs off of George in the ambulance. So because you guys remember, he was still handcuffed when they put him onto the gurney. And they also said that the police officers or anybody really had the ability to render George aid. Now, you guys also remember there was an off-duty firefighter there who kept saying, let me take his pulse, let me get in there, and they wouldn't allow him to. So the paramedic was like, that's something the police officer should have done. And to me, and then you guys remember the witness that was pleading the fifth, Maurice Hall. He said he didn't want to testify due to self-incrimination. Well, we kind of found out why today, because George's girlfriend said that Maurice was actually one of the people who supplied them, some of the illegal opioids, if you will. And so it makes sense as to why he doesn't want to testify to self-incriminate. But to me, the nail in the coffin testimony came from Derek Chauvin's immediate supervisor. And he basically said that he felt like it was excessive force, and that Derek Chauvin should have stopped or, let him got off of him and all of that when he was in handcuffs and no longer resisting. And so that was very telling that his own supervisor said that, yes, it was excessive force. And he also said he was not told about the knee on George's neck or for the duration until later on that night. And so he said once he found out the severity of what actually took place, it became a critical situation. And so day 4 put out a lot of information. And of course, the defense, it's actually day 4. It's day 3? How's it day 3?
I think it's 4.
It's 4. Because they went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's day 4.
I wasn't good at math.
So it's day 4. And so, of course, the defense, they gave it their best shot. But again, it seems like they're trying to put George on trial instead of the murderer, Derek Chauvin. And so we'll talk about it for a second, and then we'll get into why Walter is here.
Yeah, just real quick, like I said, you hit on all the points that I had. Everybody's got to remember, the prosecution is putting on their case first. So all the defense is doing is rebutting a lot of what the witnesses that have already come up. So some of these witnesses might be recalled in the defense's when it's the defense's turn. The defense has not put on their case as of yet. We see glimpses of what they're going to do, but they haven't put on their case yet. So just buckle up and brace for impact.
Well, from what I understand, the burden of proof is on the prosecution, and so all the defense actually has to do is to rebuttal and debunk what is being forth. And so, I guess we'll see what else is to come. They said this trial is actually supposed to last about 3 to 4 weeks, and so it remains to be seen. Gary?
Yeah, I mean, we bring Walter on every Thursday. And I was looking at some of these black-owned businesses, Walter, and the fact that they employ a lot of African Americans. And I was like, man, we need to figure that out. We need to talk about that. And I think that kind of lines up with what you're gonna discuss tonight. So I'm gonna be a fan tonight. I'm gonna listen, brother.
All right, and so we're actually going to get to it. And as you guys can see, Gary is traveling. So if we lose his connection, he'll try to come back. He's traveling from the Capitol when he was doing work there. And of course, he'll get a little bit more into it when he's able to. But tonight, we want to kind of just piggyback off of the conversation we were having last night in regards to group economics. We talked about Cup Foods. Cup Foods is actually the location of the murder of George Floyd. As you guys know, the owner actually called the police when he thought that George passed a counterfeit $20 bill, and the rest is history. And so we kind of kicked it around a little bit and asked the question as to why Cup Foods is still open. And we decided that when Walter comes on, because he comes on every Thursday night, we would talk a little bit more specifically about group economics. And so Walter is actually going to, and we're actually going to go from that of Dr. Claude Anderson's blueprint, if you will, Powernomics. He deals with a 5-level. So he says to picture it as a building. And so there's 5 levels to that building, or 5 floors rather, to that building. And so I'm actually going to name the floors from the bottom up, so which is the foundation up, and then Walter is going to expound on each floor, and Donovan is going to chime in too. And basically, Walter is going to tell us what we need to do per his opinion in order to start practicing group economics and building a strong economy and everything else in between, so that we are no longer in the situation that we're in and having to shop at the stores of people who would call the police on us and have us murdered essentially for a $20 bill, which we don't even know to this point. I don't know if we've gotten clarification if the bill was indeed fake or not. So Walter, let's go ahead and start with economics. That is the first floor. What do you have?
Well, I mean, that's all I have. Actually, no, I have a little bit more than that. I always tend to go back to the economics, and it's crazy. Real quick, I know we said that the guy called him over a $20 bill. It just shows you how much people think about money. Like, to have the police come to your establishment is chaos. Just think about what would have to happen to you for you to call the police and come out to your neighborhood, or bring the police to your house at night. The fact that he called the police over a $20 bill just show you how important some people think money is. Number one. The other thing, I understand the police force has $1 million defense fund for this guy. Is that right? So my other question would be, where in the hell are they getting this money from the police fund?
Yeah, from the union dues and stuff like that. And of course, political donations from other politicians that funnel money back into the unions that support them. Remember, you can't run for office unless you say, I'm for the police.
Right. So, but the police are paid by us, right? So when we get pulled over, we run into an officer. The police are basically our employee. So that ought to really just tell us how powerful money is. And I think, tonight we're going to talk about Black-owned businesses. But the first Black-owned business you need to take care of is your own, right? We talk about having our own businesses. And when I say your own business, I mean your business at home, right? So when you make money, I don't care what you do to make it, how much are you putting to the side? Because you guys, we see all the restaurants and all those guys that went out of business. Like, it seemed like some of the business when the pandemic hit went out of business right away. I mean, they were gone in like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, damn, like, how you gone like, most businesses, these small businesses don't even keep money set aside. They live check to check. So what you need to do to stop from becoming extinct is put some money away. And I know we keep saying this, but even just try it. We have like the stash apps and just these little apps where you can save $5 a day, $10 a day. I think, and then you use the stash app, right? So you can start by taking care of your own business, number one. The other thing is, what you need to do is you need to remove unnecessary employees in your business. Expenses, people in your life you need to cut. You know what I'm talking about. Some of you got people in your life you need to cut loose, right? No is a complete sentence. Some of us have people, not some of us, because not me anymore, but people that will just drain the mess out of us. Always need money, always have drama. You ever have that person that just call you and every time they speak to you, there's drama? So you know it's going to take an hour out of your day and it's going to take you another hour to get your ass back to work. Start letting go those whack ass employees in your life, the people that bug you all the time. And then what you need to do is cut some expenses. And I don't care what it is, just go through your house and figure out what you don't need. Right. And once in a while, I'll go through my house and like right now I have about 4 or 5 things on offer up, an extra TV, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's $1,000 I can use to start something else. Right. Or put in my bank for security. So start letting things go. So what do we say? Put some money aside, start cutting people loose, cutting expenses, and then letting things go. Now, when it comes to having your own business, what I would say is figure out something that you like. Like, why don't everybody right now just write down something that you would do for the rest of your life for free? Just 10 seconds. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but you'd be surprised how many people have not said, you know what? Here's what I want to do with my life. For the rest of my life, here's what I would do for free, or here's one of my goals. Like for me, I enjoy traveling, talking, cooking. I'm in my kitchen right now, right? So I cook for free, and I damn near would love to get paid for it, right? So figure out what it is you'd like to do. So when times get rough, you'll do that no matter what, because in business, things will get rough. The other thing I would say while we're on economics is,
well, actually, let me go ahead and define it, and then you can go a little bit more into it. So, Dr. Claude Anderson in economics, he says, first, we have to build our own businesses, actively support these businesses to build power to get the essentials that we need. So build our businesses and actively support the businesses. So basically funneling money in and out. As we know, the dollar in the community, Black community circulates about 6 hours. And so we need to get it up to that up. They say the Jewish community is between 20 and 30 days. We're only at 6 hours. So we need to recycle that money so that it leaves after we are completely done with it, if ever, right? So what do you say about that? How do we go about building these businesses and then actively supporting them?
Well, one, I hear what you're saying about circulation of the dollar. What we need to do is we need to slow down the circulation. When you get a dollar, you need to keep some of it in your pocket, right? So let's cut off the circulation. That's what the Jews really don't say when you hear them talking about, oh, the money stays in our community. No, it stays in their pocket. And then they circulate what's left. See, once you start saving money, you are less likely to spend it. I have a few people on here. I was talking to a young lady from here 2 nights ago, and we're going to buy her a car. But, you know, she's like, now that I have the money, I don't want to spend it. And so that's what you need to do. And then as far as, and I look for Black-owned businesses. I do. I don't see a lot of them. You know, like the guy that cuts my hair, he's a brother. But, you know, they shop be closed. Let's say open on Monday. Half the times they ain't there. So we got to be supportable, too. You guys, as Black people, we have to, Nigerians or Africans or whatever we are, we need to do better, right? You need to be supportable. I'm not going to support your Black ass just because you're Black. You know, I would like to, but you got to be there. And also be supportable. We need to be excellent, right? So, and then if you find a Black business that you like, you know, go out of your way to support them, but let them know what they can do better, right? Because sometimes we run across a business of our own, something happened to us, and then we just move on. Like I told my barbershop, I said, hey, man, if I come here on Monday and you open on, your sign says you open, you guys should be here, right? Or I'm going to go down the street. And you're the only brother on the street. There's 10 barbers on my street, and there's one Black, everyone else is Asian, right? And they fade, and they can fade. So I think that find a business, but also show them how they could do better. And then I know a lot of us as Black people, we tend to be the ones with the government jobs. And you go into the DMV and the government offices, the TSA, it's almost like the TSA, they only hire Black people. So you can have a business on the side. And I recommend everyone, if you have a full-time job, you should have a business on the side. I don't care what it is, right? I know people say, well, focus on one thing, but if you got a job, that's not your thing. That's somebody else's thing, right?
Hey, hold on. I need you to expound on that, brother. Expound on that your job is not really your thing. Why do you say that?
Because it's your job. It's somebody else's dream. You know, for instance, like I used to have a job, and my bosses made it clear that I work for them. Hey, Walters, 8:01, you are late. But I'm there at 5:06 and they don't say shit. So, and you don't have the power. So that job you need to be trying to get out of. Anytime I work with the client, what I do is I focus on getting them out of there, because one day they were going to let you go anyways. I promise you. I don't care if you flip burgers or work at the bank. Right now, they have robots that make hamburgers and robots that will give you up to $4,000 out of the ATM machine without a human being, right? I was in New York and I pulled money out the teller, and it was a lady, I don't even know if she was even on this planet, walking me through the whole thing, right? And I took like $3,000 out of the teller. So the point I'm making is you need to have your own thing. My job is not your thing. People say, I got a good job. No, you don't. You have a temporary position until they figure out how to let you go. I promise you.
And this pandemic, you know, it illustrated your point very well. you know, a lot of people think it was just a local corner store employee that got let go, but it was people, you know, making six figures a year that were also let go. And so I just wanted you really just to expound on that, because a lot of people don't realize even that if you're at a job 20, 30 years, and I tell people this all the time, you're no better than the product that you may be, you know, dealing with at the job. And so, all right, so you're saying basically, first we need to save the money, try not to circulate it as much. And then when we do circulate it into a business. Now, you did say something about the, you know, you try as much as you can. You go to a black barber, he's not there. Also, we have to be supportable if we are in business. And my younger brother says it too. It says, just because you're a black business, that doesn't automatically mean we're going to support you. You have to earn our business just like anybody else would earn the business as well. And so, do you have anything else to say about that before we move on to the next point?
No, let's go to the next one.
All right, so the next point is politics. That's the next floor, the second floor to Dr. Claude Anderson's. And Donovan, jump in anytime to his blueprint, if you will, for Powernomics. And it's politics. Says when you create the community that has a business district, the people leverage money made from focused Black economics to influence elections and politicians to advocate a Black agenda and pass laws in its best interest. So basically what that's saying is, once you've built the bottom floor of economics, you have the money that's, you know, you're building businesses, you're circulating the money. Now you have some power to be influential in politics. So what do you think we need to do to continue building on that, per your opinion?
Okay, so politics, that can be the whole rest of the show. I know we got 3 other things to cover after that. You guys, I want you to think about something for a second. We have liberals and we have conservatives, right? And so I was thinking about this last night. What exactly is a liberal? What is a conservative? Matter of fact, I was having this conversation with somebody that's renting one of my rooms. And she was saying, oh, I never really get ahead because I'm always giving stuff away and I'm always giving stuff away. And I said, the one that gives a shirt off his back shall be naked, right? You can't keep giving things away. Versus somebody that's maybe a little more conservative tends to keep things. And I'm going to say it this way. Remember the stimulus bill? Remember the Republicans, they really weren't wanting to really spend money. Now, I know there was some crooked shit behind their moves, right? Because they were up to no good for the most part. But some of them were saying we don't want to spend so much money because we don't want to deal with inflation and do what we're doing right now, just writing blank checks. Now, we need to take care of our people, right? So when you think about politics, what you need to do is figure out what serves you the best. Black people, we have to stop this blue no matter who stuff. Do you realize if I'm in a room, in a mall, or anywhere, and it's Black people, I will not tell them that sometimes I vote for Republicans, sometimes I vote for Democrats. You can't do that. Black people will kill you, cut you. Like, I remember hearing the rappers threatening Ice Cube, threatening Kanye. I won't use the rapper's name that threatened Kanye, but I'm like, damn, the dude want to vote for Donald Trump. Who gives a damn? Like, yes, we are no longer slaves. So it's okay to use freedom to vote, to speak. You know, I love Obama. I think me and you, D, was talking about how elegant, that was you, right? How elegant, no, it wasn't you. I'm sorry, I was talking to somebody else. But I was telling her how elegant Obama was. And she goes, you know, it's weird that you say that because elegant is normally used for, like, you know, a woman or somebody with stature. But she goes, he was elegant. Like, he really carried the road. And I think Obama had some good things. I know he made some mistakes too, but for the most part, he had some good things going. So when it comes to politics, figure out what your interests are. When Obama ran, I thought it was time to see Black people in a more positive light. You see what I'm saying? When I voted this time, I was thinking about my wallet. That was it. I don't care what you say, you guys. Politics is cash. You don't believe me? Look at the dude right now who's on trial, $1 million from politics. I mean, like, it's money, money, money. Joe Biden got in office And the first thing they started doing is sending money across the world. Bombing Syria. I don't even know what that's about. It's cash.
And the perfect example of what you just said is, you guys are probably familiar with the case of Akai Gurley. He was murdered by Peter Lang in New York a few years back. He was a police officer that shot into a dark hallway, a project building there in New York, and murdered Akai Gurley. Now, he actually was sentenced, and he was found guilty. And during sentencing, the judge decided not to send him to jail. And that was at the behest of the DA, who was a black man. Black man said, well, you know what? We're not going to send him to jail after all. Now, why do you think that is? It's because his people, which were Asians, they had the money, and so they were able to directly influence politics. And that's how he was able to get away with, murdering a black man. So what you say is very true. You do not have, and that Dr. Muhammad talks about it all the time when he comes on here. There is no, we cannot influence politics if we don't have money. It's just a fact. So anything else to say before we go on to the next point?
Yeah, so when it comes to politics, we need to start buying these guys, and you even start at the local levels, right? I mean, Donovan, I I tell you the story all the time about the politician when I mentioned Donovan's name. Donovan was getting the word out. Homeboy was so scared. And when you spreading the word and getting people to donate the causes, you get their attention. So we are not going to have, I'm telling you guys, you're seeing it right now with the whole Joe Biden and Kamala Harris thing. All this we shall overcome marching for this dude. And I haven't heard him say one thing about black people or anything that's helping us. They're opening the borders, which is killing black jobs. In case you guys don't understand how politics work, like when you vote for somebody and they let 11 million people in who aren't registered, and like, thank you to the current administration for hooking us up, you move down the list even further. And it's going to continue to happen. So when it comes to politics, vote with your wallet. All that other stuff, oh, the Lord told me, no, he didn't tell you to vote for this person. Vote with your pocket. Because at the end of the day, I don't care what it is, even when you die, do you realize when most people die, their families, they spend more time dealing with the cash, or he didn't have money to bury him. Oh, we have to pass a bucket. So vote with your wallet next time around.
Absolutely. And Dr. Claude Anderson also says that we are the only group of people that vote as a block against our better interests. So we should also vote for our better interests. And we can also see that voting for the Democrats overall for the last, since the 60s anyway, has not been for our better interest. So the next time around, hopefully we would be more wise to voting our better interests. Okay. So the next thing,
real quick, I just want to add in there, I'm getting sick and tired of these people. Like I said, you vote your interest and do what you want to do, but I really get sick and tired of people talking about, well, the Democrats has done good for everybody. And then when I say, okay, that's great, please tell me specifically, where did everybody and black people benefited? Please name some things that black people benefited from the everybody agenda. And these people never, ever come with anything. They never come with anything. And, so if you're going to be talking that shit, excuse my language, you're going to be, bring the receipts with it. That's all I'm telling you. Bring the receipts, because what you're saying, it's just talk. Because the reason why you're saying that is you're going with the Democratic talking point with no substance behind it, which means you have no money in your pocket. You have nothing going for you. You're just talking and talking and talking while the other people are getting the bag.
Right. And there's nothing wrong. Let me be clear. If you want to, regardless of who you vote for, Republican or Democrat, make sure you get something from it. That's what we need to do. Like, I remember watching the primaries, and I remember Joe Biden getting his ass whooped. I mean, he was damn Chang was on him. I mean, Bernie was on him. He was getting whooped by everybody on the stage. And it was the black of South Carolina that brought his ass back to the table. It was black people that rescued Joe Biden. You take South Carolina out, and that being a black district, he is not president right now. So the thing is, what did we get for that? Like, okay, you don't want to give black, like, do something. You know what I'm saying? Write the goddamn check already. I mean, like, I love all races, but man, it's been on the radio all week. The thing about the Asians, even the black radio stations are like, we got to help the Asians. I'm like, I don't hear you guys talk about helping us that much. Like, where in the hell is Black Lives Matter when, anyways, don't get me started on that madness. What's the next subject?
All right, yeah, we don't want to get you too riled up. And you guys, in case you're wondering, Gary is traveling, and so he lost connection. So hopefully by the time this is over, he'll be back to join us, in case you were wondering where Gary is. All right, so the next thing is number 3. It's justice. And it says, with political influence and leverage in hand, we now wield the power to compel and control how law enforcement treats us in the streets, and that Black people will be treated with fairness in the courts and in sentencing. So once you build your economics, the bottom floor, which is your businesses, and you circulate the money and all of that, then you have some influence over politics. And then next comes justice. Black people actually getting justice. And so what do you say about that, Walter, and then Donovan?
First of all, when it comes to justice, you need to understand the rules. I tell you, case in point. So me and my son are dealing with this property in Texas, right? And so we did a court hearing. So the court came on, the judge, and all the other attorneys, all of them white. It was just me and my son, only Black people on the call. And before this conference call, the last time we were all on the call without the judge, this lawyer was talking to me crazy. Oh, Mr. Coulter, just basically shut the hell up, nigga. That's what she was talking to me. And I was like, I don't know who you think you're talking to. This is not some dumb Negro sitting on I know my shit. So when the judge came on the next call, I hit him, boom, 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 all the law that me and my son researched. And the judge was like, sounds like Mr. Coulter knows what he's talking about. And she asked the lawyer, first of all, the judge was like, do you want to represent yourself? I said, yes, we know the rules. You guys, this is Texas law. I'm in California. We have Texas law down. Me and my son, we understand Texas law more than most Texans. Believe that shit. So I said, yeah, I'll represent myself. And I laid down all the codes. My son's giving me the codes. Hit him with this, hit him with this. And so the judge goes, looks like we're ready to wrap this. Does anyone have an objection? And all didn't have shit to say. They were like, okay, then wrap it up then. What are we still talking about? But that's only because we understood the laws. You have to understand the laws, people. And even you guys, in an attorney that was supposed to be on our side, all of a sudden turned into the frog that don't talk no more. I don't care, you guys. It is what it is, and it just happens to be what it is. Racists stick with racists. Period. Even the dude that was we hired was still felt like he was repping the other team. And that's just the way it's always going to be. So you Black people think you're going into court and you're getting justice. Shut the hell up with that. You need to be able to have you a good lawyer, and you need to know what that lawyer's job is so you can step in and say, no, that's not what's happening, right? So, and then you guys, the internet, YouTube, get off of these whack-ass YouTube channels. Like today, I got a message.
Not this one, though. He ain't talking about
not this channel. I get a subscription, and I don't even follow this company. How I bought a Mercedes AMG with a 480 FICO score. I was like, you dumbass. I wouldn't even tell nobody I had a 480. I didn't even realize you can get that low. And so, anyways, like, we have to stop with that stuff. Use your time to understand the laws, right? Here's justice. My last 3 or 4 speeding tickets, I got out of every single one of them. Just by following the law. I'll tell you how to do it real quick. You get a ticket, continue. And after a while, when you go to court, the officer, if he does not remember the case, he has to say non-recall, and they dismiss it, or he won't show up. See, but here's what Black people do. We get pulled over. Oh, hell no, it ain't my ticket, you motherfucker. And he remember your ass. I don't care if it was 10 years, he gonna remember your Black ass. So when I get a ticket, okay, thank you, officer. Have a nice day. I don't say nothing because I know the ticket's not going to stick. And you can do that with all kinds of stuff. But those things take information and they take knowledge and power. And so when I got pulled over the last time, right, I was in I was in a decent car. I had my stuff together. And I can see him just kind of scoping me out. You know what I'm saying? And it's good to look like you have your shit together. That helps a lot, you guys. Have your stuff together too, right? So when it comes to justice, you have to understand the rules. There's no justice for Black people. Zero.
All right.
None.
So Donovan is going to tell us his take. How do we get justice, Donovan? What do we need to do?
Well, like I said, number one, follow the law just to begin with. I mean, I know there's some hiccups in the law and all that other stuff, but one of the main reasons, way to get justice is to elect politicians that are going to actually put some laws in the book that's going to better our situation. I've been saying this over and over again. Black politicians ain't shit. Asians get knocked up in the head. Look at this. They're getting legislation to protect themselves. If we would start holding our elected officials accountable, like right now, we have the sympathy of the world looking at this George Floyd case, but yet people will say, oh, well, not right now or whatever. This is the time Black politicians can push legislation in our favor. And we're not talking about regular citizens knocking us in the head. We're talking about our tax dollar paid policemen that we pay in our tax dollars are wholesale murdering us on the streets and in our homes, and we can't get legislation. I think the best way to get legislation is to stop voting these people who've been in office for 30 plus years, or I don't care if they've been in there for 2 years. Look at their record. If they do not have a Black agenda, you need to go. And real quick, I wanted, Miss Taylor says this. She says, hi, everyone. This is P.I. Hill. My question is, why vote in Black people and they get voted into office and do absolutely nothing to help us moving forward? They tell us one thing or a few things to get us riled up. Then boom, they don't even look our way. They go on with their own agenda or something totally different than what was expected. And that right there tells you exactly what I just said. I'm not the only person that notices this. Black politician and Black leadership ain't shit. We need to elect people that have the Black agenda. The Congressional Black Caucus does not represent Black people. So we need a group of people that is going to put legislation and move legislation forward to get us justice. Because the Supreme Court doesn't rule on bullshit, okay? It has to be legal. It has to be codified in law. That's the only way the Supreme Court gets involved. So we need legislation from people who are going to do that to give us justice.
Absolutely. And so everything you guys said. And so basically we are going over Dr. Claude Anderson's Powernomic, the 5 floors to practicing group economics. And so we went over economics, politics, and justice. And so when you have your economics and you have some influence into politics, then you tend to get justice, right? And so let's go on to the next one. Media. The media is what we have. Dr. Claude Anderson said that we only own 3% of the media. The white media and everybody else owns 97%. And so they are able to really control the narrative, which is why a lot of times you see Black people talked about on the news or whatever. It's usually of a negative tone. Just like tonight, we've talked about the Asian or Black people attacking Asian narrative. You guys see that that's being forced by the media. And they do that to us a lot because we only own 3%. Now we are starting to grow. You know, this YouTube channel and Facebook page is actually some sort of Black media. We don't own it outright because of Mark Zuckerberg and whoever else owns YouTube, but this is a form of it. And so he says, now in ownership of economics, political influence, and justice, we have the means to own print and electronic media to have control of our voice, promote our businesses as a means to teach life-giving, life-sustaining patterns, practices, and culture. And so, you know, when you have your media, you can talk about Black-owned businesses and, you know, things that directly affect Black people, right? And so he says, basically, we need to get control over more than 3% media. Walter, what say you? And then Donovan.
Whew. Lord have mercy. When it comes to media, I thank God for Facebook and YouTube and shit like this. I can tell you, because like watching the news and all that stuff is just disgusting. And the crazy part is, it's a lot of people, even our own people with power. We are ruining ourselves. What up, G? We are killing ourselves. Like, we need to get to the point where we don't have to embarrass the race, number one, right? Like, we have to figure out a way to treat ourselves better, start stacking our money, so when we do get on TV, we don't act the ass. One. Two, where people don't think, oh, that's Tiffany Haddish. Oh, black women are ratchet. I had somebody say to me that I just met, oh, yeah, I heard, black women are ghetto. I was like, it took everything inside of me not to choke her. But I'm like, she's seeing this stuff on TV. And a lot of it is, we have control over what we show people. So we need to kill some of that stuff. And as far as us owning the media, we just need to keep doing what we're doing right here, right? Because us, we could buy CBS and NBC, but it's a better idea is stop watching that shit. I don't have cable TV. I watch NBC when the Super Bowl is on, or, something I really want to watch and I bootleg it, or whatever. I'll tie it to a friend's subscription. Stop watching that stuff. Like, I understand, we had the whole thing with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, and that everyone talked about that shit. That shit made more news than any other thing. Or right now, the dude with the Satan Nikes. I don't know who that dude is. Little Nas. I don't know. That's what everybody's talking about. You talk about Claude Anderson or economics, or like black people just fall asleep. So we need to figure out what it is we want. And we need to show the world. So like, when you're out, you represent the race. So when I'm out, I represent my race. So I'm a media outlet. Everyone on here is a media outlet. We can represent the race, right? Which is going to help. And then we have to just treat ourselves better. And you guys, for the love of Allah, Muhammad, Jehovah, if you have a kid, get your ass in his life. You don't have to get along with these kids. But we need to influence our kids. Honestly, if everybody that had kids would just be in their life, at least, and I can't believe I'm even saying this shit, even once a week, where you have to give them influence, sooner or later, you will get their mind. My kids will tell you, say, oh shit, my dad's doing this. I know my dad do the same shit to me. And I'm doing it to them too. Fuck it. I'm like, here's what you got to do. You got to do this, save money, this, that, And then my daughter's like, Dad, I said, no, I ain't gonna never stop with this, because that's what's important, right? So, and I want my kids to see black people as a positive. We have the power over our kids and our relatives, our nieces and our nephews. And I think that's the best way to control the media, is one at a time we just educate ourselves of who we're supposed to be. And then we start teaching, about Black power, what we've done, like Father Time and the Almanac, and who invented the refrigerator and the stoplight, and on and on and on. That's the type of media that they need to see, and I think it will get better. And then, next time Cardi B come on and they want to lick each other on national television, don't watch it. And like, I'm sorry, you guys. I know you guys, you don't agree with me on this. But, like the Tiffany Haddishes and some of that's cool. But like, sometimes the buffoonery has to come off. I don't like watching that shit. And it's just like, damn, those are our black women. And there's so many black women on TV and politics. I'm not talking about wacky ass waters, but like in politics and music, there's a lot of black women in the music industry that have power. Like, we need to see more of that, not the crap that we watch. So maybe if we want to boycott something, boycott that. Right? Boycott the whack. When black people are embarrassing the race, boycott them, because asking people who are not black to stop coming after us and painting us with a negative brush is never going to happen. So stop wasting our time. And let me say something else too. We'll go back to justice. Let's assume that Derek Chauvin is acquitted. And there is a chance that he's going to be. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it. Right? There's a good chance that dude is not going to be, he might get something, but him being found guilty, that's how deep they are with the cops and those organizations. They would rather the world burn than do what's right. And what if, let's say he's found not guilty, what are Black people going to burn up? Burn up their own shit. So why would I care if I was a politician? Burn up the Black, let them burn the neighborhood and we just wipe it out and gentrify it anyways. You guys, you have to think, imagine, vision is imagination with focus. Sometimes you have to look down the line and look at the bigger picture, right? What we could do is tell our people, hey, I tell you what, man, get your shit together. I don't know what George Floyd did. I don't care if his dollar bill was fake or not. That's no reason to kill a brother. I don't care what it is, right? But we can start showing people how we really are as a people. Do you guys realize that Nigerians, when they come to this country, they are some of the wealthiest. They do some of the best economically. Nigerians, when they come to America, they are in the top of people that come over here and do well financially. How come we don't never hear about that? Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what we need to be telling our kids, and that's what we need to be telling the world when we come out. We need to be talking about what we've done positive for each other and for the world, not the crap that Tiffany Haddish and hey girl, and I'm a hoe. And no, Black women ain't hoes. So we need to stop saying that.
All right, Donovan, what say you?
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly with a lot of what he said. But as far as the media goes, there's a lot of you people out there that seeing what Demetra and I do, and the 5-star and all that stuff like that. And I understand people are shy, you don't want to be seen or whatever. But to tell you the truth, it doesn't take much to start media. Demetra and I both started on a podcast. Nobody saw our faces. We were just out there just talking. All they heard was our voices. Then we started doing, the camera thing and then piece by piece by piece. And slowly but surely, the message got out there. And Demetra's blowing up into the social stratosphere, doing different shows and different things like that. Because number one, her mother spoke on that for her. So that was manifested for her to do so. But it doesn't take much to get in the media. How many of you, I was almost shocked to hear about that guy. He's the richest Black man in America. He's a capitalist investor. Whenever Black people hear about a Black person who's not an entertainer, have money like that, and he just gave it to Howard and all the BCUs, whatever he did, I don't know how much he gave, but he gave a lot of money. People were shocked, like, who is this guy? What is this guy?
$40 million. He paid off
the student loans and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're shocked by that. Why? Because he's not a football player. He's not an entertainer. He's not this. He's not that. There is a lot of people out there that have money that we don't hear about because we don't have any media. Walter being a good example. We're talking to this guy. This guy was in the foundation of Kanye West being where he's at. Okay. Set the foundation. So if you want to be a billionaire, you might want to get with this man. You might want to get with them. But how would you know that if there was no media?
Right.
Absolutely. So we're going on to point number 5. And as you guys see, Gary is trying his best to come back in, but he's traveling. And so his reception is not that great where he's traveling to and from. And so hopefully he'll get back in here before the time we leave, because I don't know how we'll end it. It'll just be on. So anyway, let's get to the last point, and that's education. And it says, Black people move away from standardization and place. Yeah, this is why I wish Gary was here so he could talk about this element. But it says, Black people move away from standardization and place an emphasis and focus on our education, on the specific talents and needs of our children to develop their abilities, build their skills, and to inculcate in them a connection and regard for Black communities. So basically, it is teaching our own the necessary skills and the things that we need. And so hopefully he can get back here and talk about that. But Donovan, let's go the other way around, and then Walter, what say you?
Well, you know me, I have 12 degrees, and I think I called it a wrap at that. But here's my point about having 12 degrees. It isn't the point that I have 12 degrees. Just because you graduate doesn't mean your education stops. This show has taught me so much from ordinary people that probably don't even have degrees. I'm not a street person, but I learn a lot from street people because they have more common sense than people who are who are educated. in a system of education. So without education, you don't have a standard to start from. But here's the important thing about education for me. When we let our children drop out of school and don't do this, they just want to get a job. Do you know how many horror stories I hear about people who experience the Amazon warehouse phenomena? I mean, horror stories. But what other options do they have? But here's the problem with the education system. And it's not the problem, education, this is what wraps it up. When you fill out an application, let's say for a job with the state or with a company, what's the first thing that they say when they're advertising it? This is what the job is, minimum requirements to apply, associate degree, bachelor's degree. It might even be a master's degree, right? If you don't even have that, you're not even in the game. So to me, education is very important, and we got to stop letting our children drop out of high school, knowing, number one, we are Black, and we're already behind the 8 ball, and it already perpetrates into the child or the young person. I just quit. When shit gets tough, just quit. We just can't keep quitting. Just get through it and go through it. Do you guys realize right now, because we're not at a mass hysteria in the military, you can't get into the military without a high school diploma. And we're not talking about a GED. You're not getting in the military right now because they don't need you. So that's my thing with the education. It is crucial, if you want to go somewhere within this country.
Also, really quick, this book here is actually my second copy. I loaned my first one. That was all marked up to my nephew. Hopefully he's read it. But it's The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And he talked about why it's important for us really to educate our own and to instill in our children that college degrees are great, but we still need to teach and our children that, everyday stuff is important as well. So basically he gave the example that, while somebody might have gone off to college to get a degree in psychology, psychology is great. We as Black people need psychology, but we don't overall use those. We don't use those services as much as everybody else. But so a lot of people went off to college and forgot to re-revolutionize, a laundry service. Because at the time when this book was written, people's mothers were, laundresses, if you will, where they did, the laundry of white people and, the everyday manual work. And so those things were forgotten. And as you know now in our communities, who's doing those things in our communities? It's the Asians, it's the Arabs, it's, Hispanic. Everybody's doing the necessary things that we do every day, but us. Most of you have taken your clothes to a cleaner's. It was probably an Asian or Hispanic that took your clothes to clean them. So he was saying those are the things. Education is good, but those are the things that we should have been trying to, revolutionize as well. And he also says that colleges, especially back then, they don't teach your Black children about themselves, and they don't teach them from a Black point of view. They teach them from a white point of view, as if they're teaching white children. And so your Black children graduate college and they go back into the communities, and then they also have this false idea about who they are because they're trained to believe, well, I'm better than, my people at home because I've gone to this college and I've learned basically in a roundabout way how to be white. And so then they frown upon their people. And so it's important to build our own institutions and teach our children the things they need to know that are applicable to white people. To our people, not white people, to Black people. So Walter, what do you say about the educational system?
Well, I'm writing a book, I told you, called Nigger Rich. And education is one of the negative pillars in that book. And here's what I mean. Like, the school system is good. Like, obviously we got to get through high school, but you guys don't just send your kids to school blindly, because the shit they hear in school, a lot of it is negative. I remember going through school and hearing, here come the slavery part in history and Roots. Why in the fuck we got to watch Roots? Because you a nigga. We're going to remind your kids and you that you are a nigga. You're a slave and Kunta Kinte, and then all that shit the kids deal with. Do not send your kids to school without educating them. period, and explaining to them like, hey, you know, when that light we almost ran yesterday to get your ass to school on time, that was invented by Garrett Morrison, right? Those are the type, that refrigerator, that lawnmower that you need to go use and cut this high ass grass, that was brother. And on and on and on. Do you guys realize when you go to Europe, this is why black people, and I don't know why we do not travel. When I talk to black people, I don't want to get on the plane. I don't want to do this. I'm afraid of the sky. Get your black ass on the plane, period. When you go to Europe, they have black people royalty on the walls. Like when you go through these museums, you see black kings and queens on the wall. It is mind-blowing. Do you realize, I think it was up until 1492 that the Africans ran Spain. Like, look up the Moors, right? When people talk about, oh, my shoes, they talk about the Maori Gators are the best. Those are Moors, those are black people. So we want to go back. We want to teach our kids the real history. Here's one thing I got from my father, who I don't think ever went to college. You know, I don't even know. That's crazy, but I'm going to ask him, right? I went to college for a minute. You know, the best, there you go. The best education is an example. You guys, my financial business, the people that work for me, all have college degrees. All of them. I'm the only one that doesn't have a college degree. Now, I'm not saying college is shit, but I'm saying there needs to be an example. Stop sending your kids to these schools and hoping that the school system is going to work it out. You guys, and I hope I don't offend too many people, but like, wouldn't it make sense if you knew how to do something to do it and not just teach it, right? You're an economics teacher. Show me your business. Show me your wealth, right? Okay. You do not take advice from somebody that is not heading in your direction. They don't have to be rich or they don't have to have that, but they should be going after it. Do not tell my kids, does your art teacher, does she paint? Does she have an art studio? Does she sell art? They're like, no, then that's not an art teacher, right? She's just reading the syllabus, paint by numbers, right? Your economics teacher. You know who the best teachers were? Woodshop, mechanics, ROP. Those are the cats that were teaching, because when you went to woodshop, they would show you how to cut it, show you how to work on the car. ROP class, you go in the kitchen, you cook, you know, boom. Future Farmers of America, they show you how to milk the cow. So like, those are the real teachers. So when it comes to it, and you guys, and education doesn't mean you go to a school system and you sit there all day and you become, you know, liberalized or whatever these school systems are doing. These kids are coming out with no spine. You can't even tell a joke and they get upset. And stop fucking with Pepe, by the way. Right, so like, like my son just got accepted to all these universities. He goes, Dad, you know, everyone's saying I should go to Berkeley. And he goes, I don't want to go to Berkeley, but I don't want everybody to know. He goes, because if you have a conservative approach on one of your papers, I understand that they ding you. So he understands by going to Berkeley that his conservative views will be frowned upon. So I said, screw Berkeley. You understand? That's a good school.
Where's he going?
Huh? Right now, we pushing for UCLA, USC. Like,
tell him to leave the state. Leave the state. Go Grove. Spread his wings.
Actually, he's right now. We're trying to get him into Harvard too, because I think Boston would be cool. The dude's got a 4.42. He's like out of this world.
4.6.
Well, I mean, it fluctuates. 4.2, 4.6. It's official as 4.42, but whatever. It's over a 4. So my cousin went to UCLA, played football. I sent him a message like, hey, Mike, can you push us through? And that's what money and power does, right? We can learn if you have somebody, and this is why I say true leadership is somebody who's done it. My cousin went to UCLA, played football. He recruited Troy Aikman. He went to the Lions. He was a man at UCLA. So I called my cousin, sent him a text and said, hey, my son's applying there. He's on the wait list. Let's push him through. That is power. You understand what I'm saying? My cousin brought money to the school. He was a top recruiter. He's got power. And now I'm using that money and power to get my son, who's super smart into UCLA.
Wait. So basically, you're doing what Lori Loughlin in the school scandal, education scandal.
Well, I'm doing it legally. And if you don't think that these kids, these alumni and these people aren't donate, they don't have their money they don't have their name on the library, so all their future kids and grandkids can't get into the school, you got something coming. See, what they did is they broke the law. I'm talking about calling my cousin and saying, hey, get your second cousin into UCLA, right? He qualifies, but that's money and power. That's how you're supposed to use it. So we as Black people, we can follow somebody that's already doing it. Stop listening. And I don't have all my shit together. Financially, things, I'm surviving. We'll just leave it like that. Right? But we have to get control of our kids and our education system. Get them out of those schools. I mean, I'm not saying pull them out of high school, but if they're going to go to school, make sure that you're telling them, translating what's really going on. And my grandkids and my nieces and nephews, when that slavery shit come around, they're out of school. I don't want them hearing about that, right? You think white people, Germans, are talking about, oh yeah, bringing up Hitler all the goddamn time? I bet you Hitler's not even in the German curriculum. Do you understand what I'm saying? So why do we have to keep hearing about slavery? And by the time your Black kids get out of school, they're so degraded, their self-esteem is on the floor because all they hear about slavery and this and that and all the negative shit. So that's my take on education.
That's what he's saying.
All right. So anyway, I just said what?
Oh, who was that?
Oh, that was a TV.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I just sent Gary a message to tell him that we're about to end. So as soon as he comes back on, we are going to end. But no, I actually disagree with you a little bit. I think our children should know about slavery. They should know about what our people endured so that they don't repeat it and don't want to go back to it. I saw in the group I'm in, there's a statue of a woman. She was enslaved, a Black woman, and she had the shackle around her neck and she had her hands tied behind her back and she was leaning forward. And a real life little girl was in front of her looking at her. And somebody says, what do you think this picture means? What is it? What do you get from it? And I said, I get that the statue, I'm looking at the picture, was telling the little girl, go and run and tell our people about me so they can fight to stay free. And so we need to always teach our people, especially our children, about what our people have gone through, because Jewish people do it, Asian people do it. It is not a day or a year, whatever go by, that Jewish people do not tell their children about the Holocaust. And so,
okay, that's true, but they do it on their terms, is what I'm saying. They teach their kids about the Holocaust. They teach themselves about the Japanese internment. They're teaching their kids. That's cool. If I'm telling my kid about slavery, here's what happened, here's how we overcome that, and here's the money to do it. That is what I'm talking about. Not if Asians were sitting here in my classroom, I'm telling them how shitty Asians were, and that they bombed Pearl Harbor, and they should be like this, it would be different. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, so absolutely, yeah. So I think I misunderstood you. You're saying that it shouldn't be on the school's terms to teach us about slavery, our children. It should be us. So no, 100%, absolutely. They should never have the one up on teaching our children about slavery. In fact, your children should be so well versed, not just about slavery, because we were so much more before we were slaves. As you said earlier, we're kings and queens and all of that. The richest man, even till this day, Mansa Musa, okay, he was a king. They said even today, in today's wealth, even the wealthiest people, the Rockefellers and all of them, they still would, and Jeff Bezos still would not be as wealthy as Mansa Musa was. And so we need to teach our children. They should, like as I was saying, they should be able to go to school and say, Mrs. Such and such, that's not true. This is actually the truth. Because how many times are our children taught that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves? They tried to teach us that. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. It's like, no, that's some bullshit.
But then again, but then again, Dimitri, also, our kids go to school and they do what they're told in the institution that they're put in. I put the onus on the parents, like you did when your daughter was in there. You went up there and made sure she was being taught correctly. So, the kids, have to learn what they learn. But it's, how many times in our community do the parents not show up for parent-teacher conference? They do not show up for, whatever it is they need to show up for. Because one thing that I did when I was a parent was the fact that if I had to come up there, number one, my son knew there was some shit about to go down. And it wasn't with the teacher, it was with him, because it was usually a discipline problem. Didn't have that. But the thing is, I let that teacher know, hey, you don't call me off of my job for some bullshit. And what is the, and I asked her question, what are you teaching? What is this? Where is this going to go? And stuff like that. And when I went to that parent-teacher conference, now my son went to a private school, Catholic school, whatever it was. And I'd say 30% of the people in his class were Black. And I'd say about maybe 8% of us Black parents showed up. So I put a big onus on the parents to make sure that our kids are being taught correctly.
So here's the other thing. Let me go over these points quick. First, Donovan, thank you about bringing up the part when you show up to the school. Because, my oldest son, his name is Khalid, right? I named him after Khalid Muhammad. My father still is in the temple in LA. I named my son after Khalid Muhammad, someone we actually knew, worked on his cars. He was, one of Farrakhan's right-hand men. My son goes to school, takes something from the ice cream truck, and one of those poppers that you get on the ice cream, and they tried to put in explosives, that he brought an explosive in his record. I said, I will sue every single inch of this school district if you even think about doing that. Some shit he bought across the street after school, after this school, I said, good luck. Number one. And everybody know, Mr. Culture dropped his kids off at school. He might have been running late every day, but I used to drop my kids off and they would see me. It would be a shit show. I'm getting out. They got a sock on, clothes, my ties around one of their necks. It was a hot mess. But you know what? I dropped their ass off. And so I let my kids know that I'm dropping you off. So I got that 10, 15 minutes of your attention when you go and you deal with this madness. And I would get out. I would park the car. My kids hated it. But I would go and walk them to class. I would go sit down in their class. I would go wave to everybody. Everybody knew me. And they need to know that, hey, don't fuck with this kid. His father's around. He works 10 minutes away from here, and he'll show up. Number one. Two, and if you send your kids to the whack-ass school system, make sure they got friends. Somebody messed with one of my kids, and the other three showed up and whooped that ass. Now, I'm not recommending your kids fight like that, but they need to know that there's... Anyways, I digress. Let me move to the next thing. I mentioned Nigeria earlier, and I want to speak to Alan real quick. And he mentioned something about Nigeria is one of the most corrupt nations in Africa. I'm going to talk to you for a second. That we need to stop with the black on black crime. First of all, I'm 35, 45% Nigerian, as most of you black people are. We are of Nigerian descent. Do your 23andMe, ancestry, all that stuff. We are Nigerian, period. So when I say that Nigerians come over here and they bring wealth and they create wealth, that's not me opening the door to attack our own people. We have enough people attacking us. Do you know what I'm saying? In Nigeria, it is no more corrupt than the U.S. government. Nigeria's never dropped a bomb, just wiped out innocent people, walk in, blasting on people, doing syphilis experiments on the people. I never heard a Nigerian doing that too. Okay, maybe Nigeria, their government is corrupt because no government is corrupt. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, when you hear something positive about who you are, stick with that, because I can find something negative about every single person on this podcast. But like, we do not need to attack our motherland, right? One thing that's hurting black people is roots. I tell you, my Mexican homies and my Asian homies, they're quick to say I'm Filipino. Oh, I'm Colombian. Black people, we are not we are Africans. Most of us Nigerian. So we need to protect our roots. You know what I'm saying? Because a few years ago, I might have been like, yeah, Nigeria, there's some crooks. I got a phone call from them once, and it was a Nigerian. I get phone calls from India and the Philippines every day trying to break into my bank account. You know what I'm saying? So we need to protect our motherland. And so you guys, we need to take our asses back to Africa. And D, I know you went. That was cool. The other thing I'm going to say is we should talk more about Mansa Musa.
Hold on a second. Gary, don't go nowhere because in about 3 minutes, we're going to end and we need you to end. Go ahead, Walter.
Yeah. Last thing is there's a documentary called The Men That Built America. I think it's on Amazon. It's about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. Those guys were all crooks. They manipulated the markets. They did things that if you did today, you would be under the jail. That's how they built their wealth. Even like the Bushes, their great-grandfather and their grandfather, they were in drugs and alcohol and illegal cigarettes. And even the Kennedys, all them cats, you realize the Kennedys got their money from illegal activity. They're like drug dealers, but got into the music industry. These guys were in illegal business and turned it into finance and capitalism. So watch that stuff, right? Because Nigeria, there's no one in Nigeria that will ever be as crooked as Rothschild or Rockefeller. I promise you, you won't even come close. You understand? And the crazy part is JP Morgan Chase is one of the biggest banks in America. If they went back to how JP Morgan, how crooked they'll never do that. This bank is founded on drug, crooked, corruption, war money. They're not going to ever talk about that. They're just going to talk about it now. So, what did you say?
I said, and slavery.
Slavery? Oh, don't even get me started with them as slavery. I mean, like, it's funny. You know why America is the richest nation in the world? Because they have 400 years of free labor. You know where they got that labor from? Nigeria. Period. So if Nigeria, they want to come over here and steal some shit, but they're not stealing some shit. They're taking it back. Truth be told. You know what I'm saying? So, and we integrated with the other races and we made them stronger. You know what I'm saying? You see, anyways, I'm going to leave it there.
All right. So we got Gary back in the building. So he's got to be able to hit these freaking mosquitoes. I'm coming back to California. So Gary's going to end it. Walter, we thank you so much for being on here. Donovan, what are your final words?
My last thoughts is, look, there's something we can learn from those Africans. The reason why they come up here and got to hustle because they know where they came from. Opportunity is few and far between. So they come here and see all this stuff that we sleep on and we don't take advantage of. How you gonna have rent $28 and you get a month and you get evicted? They don't sleep on stuff like that. They practice group economics and they do the like. But that's what we got to start doing. Start rethinking the way we think. I wish a lot of you guys would get your messages and thoughts out in the new Black media. Just start a podcast. If that is your comfort zone, start that podcast, get that idea out there, and you will be surprised at how many people you will spark and influence just based on your words alone.
And then my final words are this. A great person once told me, when Demetra suffers more, she will be a great reporter. And that's why I regret to tell you all that tonight is my last show. I am leaving the war zone because Donovan and Gary are two of the most selfish motherfuckers I've ever met in my life. Therefore, tonight is my last show, and I'm going off to start the war zone with Demetra K.
You know what I'm saying? We're gonna like Grammys too.
Yes, look, Tina, don't let that door hit you.
April Fools, I'm just kidding. I was like, surely Donovan is going to know where I got that from. The 5 heartbeats. When Duck was leaving the 5 heartbeats.
Exactly.
I was like, that first line is gonna give it away when he says, a writer once told me when Duck suffers more. I was like, shit.
No, I knew it was the 5 heartbeats, but I was thinking of like you leaving us like in Tina and What's Love Got to Do with It, you know?
Oh yeah. Come on, Ike.
Gary.
Hey, y'all, I tell you, so I appreciate y'all putting up with me this week. It's been a long week. And if y'all cool with it, I just figured out today, tomorrow's a holiday. So we can take tomorrow off. And because I gotta fly back into Minneapolis and get ready to get on again. So, I appreciate all y'all bring to the table. And just bear with old 5 Star, because I'm just everywhere just trying to help so many people that some days I stretch myself out, but that's okay. So with that being said, my friends, we'll see y'all Monday, and y'all enjoy y'all holiday weekend.